Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. A very good evening to all of you. Now, the fourth session about the IFRS 15. A quick overview. The session one about the IFRS 15, that was about the background, the introduction, and the scope of the accounting standard. What transaction should be in or within the scope of IFRS 15. Number one. Number two, the second session, it's about a discussion about the complete briefing of about the single framework having 5 components of IFRS 15 revenue recognition criteria with a question with the telecom company that's called Jost. So develop your mindset. Number 3, drill down with the step 1, that's about identify the contract and having 5 more components of the contract that must have to meet if you move towards to develop the system of the revenue recognition. So have to meet the criteria of the contract. So that's all done. I hope that you people have done the question of Kiki as well. Before that, if you haven't done, you have to attempt the question Kiki. Furthermore, the very important thing, I've also added a question, that's question 6. And that question 6 about, it's not exam question, it's a descriptive question that is about if examiner asks you the details relating to the step 1 only. So this is the practice question of the discussion about contract, means definition of contract and 5 ingredients of contract, each contract with detailed discussion. So I strongly suggest you have to attempt this one as well. Either now, pause the video now, or after that video, it's your wish. Now, step 2. What is about the step 2? Do remember that now after step 1, step 2 onwards, it's about to develop a system of the revenue recognition. Means arrangement has made with the customer and the contract of the description of the contract or the criteria of the contract by IFRS 15 qualify. Now it's time to develop a system how to recognize the revenue. The first thing, that is step 2 for the process of revenue recognition. Standard says that you have to identify what promises you have made. You means the seller has made to customer. Whatever the promise has made, that's called performance obligation. So here, the very important thing, performance of identify the separate performance obligation. And performance obligation means whatever the promises to transfer the distinct goods and services to the customer. So first thing is that performance obligation means promises. So we will use the term performance obligation rather than promise. Number 2, the term distinct. But we will discuss the distinct word in very detail because it's required a lot of judgment here, but a little bit later. So with more details, before drill down about the things related to the distinct, first of all, whatever the arrangement has made and whatever the promises we have made, the very first thing the standard says that you have to identify at contract inception, say that is this the contract or the deliverables about a single goods and services, or the deliverables about series of distinct goods and services. Sir, what does that mean? So the point is that deliverables, that's called performance obligation. Number 1, is this single? Sir, what does that mean, single? What does that mean? Single. Very basic example. Single performance obligation, single deliverable. For example, car manufacturer. What the seller performance obligation? Hand over, sell the car. And this is called single deliverable, single performance obligation. That's very simple. Number two, another example. For example, that's one time, one transaction only. That's all. Close. I'm a company of software development. And I have sold you one of the off-the-shelf, ready-made software to you. Software ready-made means marketable ready-made. Or even not the ready-made, I have made a software for you, a customized nature. That is called single performance obligation. That's single performance obligation. That's one deliverable. That's all. Building constructor. There's an arrangement. I'm a building constructor. You are my customer. You have assigned me a contract to construct a home. Single performance obligation. But number two, multi-deliverables. Several or multi performance obligation or deliverables. Let's suppose I am a publisher of magazine. Magazine publisher. I'm a magazine publisher. And you are a supermarket. And there is an arrangement between you and me. That's, I will sell you monthly 50 monthly magazine. Means I normally publish the magazines once in a month. And the contract is made for 2 years. What does that mean? This is not a single deliverable. This is multi-deliverable, multi-performance obligation. Means several means series of services, series of goods with the same nature. That is called several, multi. For example, teaching services. Four months contract. Okay. Weekly 3 class. That's called the weekly 3 class. If you, for example, pay the amount on the weekly basis, that's called multi-performance obligations. A lot of things, it depends. But series or several or multi-performance obligation means the same nature of the goods and services. It may be in the form of the goods, not necessarily that's not necessarily that's several or multi only based on services. It's also based on the goods. It's also based on the goods. For example, I am a tea manufacturer. And you are a superstore. You and me have a deal. That's, for example, 200 kg of supreme quality tea. I will deliver with the bags of half kg, 400 units. 200 kg, that's got 400 units. The contract for 2 years. Per month for 2 years. Same series of goods, but several or multi. So very first thing is that, and it may be possible, some of the examples single goods, some of the examples services. In the several, some of the services, some of the goods. Maybe either single, either several. The distinct goods and services. For example, car manufacturer has made arrangement with a customer, single, to sell the car plus 2 years maintenance contract. That's called single deliverable. Same case will the multi matter. Same case will the multi matter. For example, you are a bank. I am a company who provides the hardware of the computers and the software of the computers. So you as a bank has made an arrangement with me. I am a seller. That every quarter I will provide you 4 laptops in plus installation of operating systems. Every 3 months, every quarter, 4 laptops plus certain configuration with a certain configuration laptops plus certain operating systems with all the requirements. So several or multi services, goods plus services. So here also goods plus services. Here also goods plus services. But the series means every time the nature of goods and services remains same. So before identify the several performance obligation, the very important thing have to identify, is this about single deliverable performance obligation or multi-deliverable performance obligation? Number 2, the another important point. Once this identified, chapter close. Either single or distinct. Either single or series. Number 2, the very important and very judgmental based topic now we are going to start here. Either single, either several. At the inception date of the contract, we have to determine either the performance obligation become distinct or not. Either the performance obligation distinct or not. Either the performance obligation distinct or not. If the performance obligation is distinct, so we have to split the performance obligation in 2, 3, 4 parts, and later on discuss how to recognize the revenue. At step 2, we are not discussing the revenue recognition. Revenue recognition is at the last part, stage 5. Here only identify either the performance obligation, either single or several, distinct or not. If distinct, we have to split the services or goods accordingly. Either if the goods and services, then split goods and services. If there are more than one services, then split the services. If the different goods or services are not able to distinct, then all the contract called one single performance obligation. If not qualifying the distinct criteria, all the performance obligation combined with one performance obligation. And don't remember that, don't mix one with two. First is that initially at inception identify, is this all the arrangement about single or series? Whatever the arrangement, single or series, all the performance obligation, first of all, consider either become distinct. If yes, so split it. If not, all the obligations combined in one matter. But the point is that we have to consider what is the criteria, what's the detailed criteria that performance obligation become distinct. Before entering this detail of distinct, I must say that we have to refer that question. You remember that question? Jost, session 2, Jost. We have to cover this point. Number one, Jost, a telecom company. Jost, Clary is the customer. Remember? Identify the contract, all done, all the things. But the issue is that performance obligations. What the services Jost as a telecom provides? Number one, to the customer, Clary. Number one, phone call. Oh, I'm sorry, handset. Number one, the handset. Very important. And number two, the services includes call, text, data. If I say that, number one, the first thing, reply me. And if you're not getting the point, do ask me on the WhatsApp. Number one, with this arrangement, the Jost and the Clary, what do you say that? Is this the arrangement for single deliverable or multi-deliverable? The handset is single deliverable. But the package of call, text, and data is about series per year, 2-year contract, or per month, 24 months contract. But I must say that here is a complete contract of 2 years. Here is a complete contract of 2 years. So if we count the complete contract, this is one single deliverable. One single deliverable of handset and one single deliverable of 2 years contract, because here Clary will not lift up the contracts, will not able to withdraw the contract mid of the time period. So it's a complete package. That is the point. So irrespectively, it's single or multi-deliverable, irrespectively. Another important point. What are the distinct performance obligation? We haven't discussed the detail of distinct, but what's the instance, what the mindset we have? There are two distinct: handset and call, text, and data. It's a one package. By the way, if we drill down the thing, very important point. If we drill down the thing, very important point. Very important point here. The telecom actually have a setup to provide 4 things. Number one, handset. Number 2, calls. Number 3, text. Number 4, data. But we are considering the performance obligation, not 4, that is 2. Why? A basic reason. Number one, Number one, the seller is not able to provide the call, text, and data independently. The seller is not able to provide or to sell calls, text, data independently. It's not possible. The one thing. But on the other end, the buyer, the customer, it's not able. I'm sorry. Take my words back. Once again, the seller it's not able to sell, not the buyer. Seller is not able to sell the calls, text, data independently. First thing. Not able to sell. On the other end, the very important, the customer, it's not able to buy calls, text, data independently. Here, independent with respect to customer means that the customer, it's not possible to purchase the calls data here and the text and calls services from Joost and text and data services from anywhere else, or calls and text here and data package from somewhere else. It's not possible because the cell phone embed all the things as a common factor, or even not possible to purchase from Joost only data, mobile data means internet, and the text, but not the calls. So here are two things. Distinct. Number one, handsets, call, text, data are distinct. But call, text, and data are not distinct. That's a key point. That is the key point. We discussed why call, text, data are not distinct, because seller and buyer both have a limitation. Seller not able to sell, buyer not able to get economic benefit with their own discretion, with his or her own discretion. But another question, why handsets is a separate performance obligation from call, text, and data? Number one, as a seller, we can sell the handset independently, standalone price, and we can sell independently the calls, text, and data. That's a standalone price. Number two, Clary, it's also possible by paying different amount just to purchase the handset from there, and the complete package, call, text, and data somewhere else, or other way around, the Clary with a different price, not with same price but different price, has a freedom to purchase only call, text, and data from the Joost and purchase handsets from somewhere else. So do remember that distinct criteria qualify with respect to both parties. With respect to both parties. And the theme, not the actual wording, the theme related to distinct, the performance obligation qualify for distinct. Number one, if customer, deliberately I'm saying customer. Number one, if customer are able to get the economic benefit independently by its own or somewhere else. Plus, seller also able to sell independently. That's on that basis, distinct conditions qualify. Distinct conditions qualify. Number two, calls, text, and data with respect to seller, it's not distinct because these are integrated. No, sorry. These are interrelated, connected. That's a key point. Now, whatever the discussion I has made, come on. Accounting standard says that this is what about the condition. I strongly suggest you have to read these conditions at least 2 times. 30 seconds silent. Your turn. Now it's my turn. Do you remember that we are discussing here the performance obligation, even single or series, it's become distinct if both conditions meet. If both conditions meet, what are the both conditions? Number one, the first term is that if the different performance obligations that is capable of being distinct. Do remember the word capable actually relates to customer. The first thing is standard mentioned with respect to the customer and distinct with the context of customer or with the contract. This distinct with the context of contract with viewpoint of seller means distinct performance obligation become distinct one when both of the conditions become mean. Both of the conditions, not one, both of the conditions. And the condition with respect to customer and with respect to seller, both. Now, one by one. With respect to seller, if we are, for example, develop your mind, is it possible call, text, data become distinct? So the issue is that, number one, capable of being distinct means who is capable? Customer. Can customer benefit from goods and services, calls, data, and all the three things, call, text, data, either on its own or together with other readily available resources? Is it possible? Can it be possible the customer, the Clary, get independently, for example, Clary get the text, phone calls data from the company, those, but other two, telecom, internet and the text from somewhere else? No way, not possible. Not possible by its own or with any other company. Number one. And number two, seller, distinct with the context of seller. Number two, seller promise goods and services separately identify from other promise in contract. Means seller calls, text, data, these goods and services are separately identified? No. Seller, it's not possible here to separately identify these three things because they are not standalone. Not standalone means they are not selling independently. Now I'm giving you one more example here. Now come on. For example, I have a business of technology, tech business. So what I do, sale of hardware and sale of operating system. Means if someone come at my shop, I will sell the hardware, for example, PC, personal computer, desktop, laptop. And if someone asks me to install the operating system, I will hand over to them. The charges is different, hardware is different, operating system is different. You, the customer, you can purchase hardware. Hardware means, for example, if you purchase a laptop from my side, you purchase the laptop from my side, and now it's your own wish to install operating system with your own or somewhere else. That's all. That's all. Install operating system either from my side, either from own or somewhere else. So two things important. If I am going to recognize the sale, here I am the person who are going to report the sales. And I want to identify business, tech business, identify the performance obligation is equal to distinct or not. Let's suppose that I have sold you the hardware plus the operating system. So accounting standard says that these two are distinct when two conditions meet. Number one, with respect to customer. And you have to judge that either customer can get the benefit for this operating system and this hardware. For example, this operating system with own or somewhere else. Yes or no? The answer here is yes. The customer can install the Windows, for example, by own, or installation of Windows somewhere else with a cheaper price. Number one. Number two, the seller, with the arrangement of the contract, able to sell the contract, able to sell independently. Yes, if both these condition meets, then we will say that yes, qualify. Yes, qualify. That is a point. Sorry. Read once again. Our goods and services, single or several, is distinct if both of the following conditions meet. Number one, capable of being distinct, capable with respect to customer. The customer can benefit from good services, either its own, that installation of services, or together with other readily available resource. Other readily available resource from some other shop. Number one, its criteria meets. I hope it's clear to you. Number two, and this is not enough. And distinct with context of contract, that's called seller. That seller promise goods and services separately identifiable from other promise in the contract. Means the performance obligations are standalone, that are independent. If both these conditions meets, we will say that okay, there are two different performance obligation, hardware, software. If condition not meet, anyone even, then we will consider that one single performance obligation. If you wanted to write exam wordings, you can use these wordings. What else I can do for you? Exam wording. If you wanted to write this thing, that's what are the two conditions. You will mention that the customer could purchase good services without significant affecting the other good services purchase, which means there is no dependency upon individual element of service. This is not a standard wording, own wordings. Means the condition of customer means the customer is able to purchase goods and services without affecting other promised goods and services. Means hardware and operating are, if the customer purchase hardware and from somewhere else operating system, not affecting this relationship, because these are not interdependents. Number two, these exam wording with respect to seller side. The entity means seller regularly sells each element of contract separately and not providing significant service of integrating the goods and services. Means regularly they sells and it's not the significant service of the integrating. If it's significant thing of the integrating, that means criteria not meets. Let's suppose a quick matter. For example, I have a business. One side, I am a seller of the products Apple. For example, Apple iPad or whatever the laptops. And the different services of operating system here, not normal Windows, iOS. Here the customer says that I will purchase the Apple iPad, okay. But the point is that one side customer is not able to install with the specific unique keywords or the key tools of the iOS other than the registered sellers, other than me. So this iOS is the integrated part. Integrated part of the seller as a cell, and the customer is not able to get benefit by own or somewhere else. That means this is not the performance obligations independent. That is one performance obligations. One performance obligations. I hope it's very much clear to you. Students, one complex thing I wanted to add on here. That is supportive points for the complex case. Do remember this supportive points for complex case. These supportive points for complex case only belongs to seller side. If the things are vague with respect, for example, customer are able to get the things independently, or the situation is vague with respect to the customer. The important thing is that consider the point with respect to the seller. So here are some important points, supportive points. If we consider that the goods, the performance obligation, either goods or services, whatever, series of different services, different goods are distinct. So all the different performance obligations, all the different promises are not integrated, are not integrated. They are not interrelated, and they are not significantly modify or customize other goods. For example, if I say to you that, listen carefully. One of the example we have done it. For example, if the issue is that the things are integrated, these are the supportive point with respect to seller. That means the things are not distinct. This is the example of integrated. This is the example of interdependency. Interdependency. But I'm giving you an example of integration. What is the generic meaning of integration? Mathematically, integration. For example, if something is A, something is B, and something is C, the worth of the project is equal to A plus ABC. For example, any of the project, the worth having ABC. So ABC is a complete project. So to develop ABC, the important point is that we have to integrate A plus B plus C. If these are not integrated, it's not possible to complete the project. It's not possible to complete the project. That is called integration. So it may possible, for example, I'm giving you an example. You are hospital and you need advanced biotech machine, very specialized, for example, MRI machines or CT scan machines, very specialized. So you have contacted to Philips. Philips says that, okay, we will provide you, we will sell the machine. But the hospital, it's not only required the machine. Hospital required the machine in an operating situation. In an complete operating environment. I don't know you people have you people ever experience the room to see the or observe the room of the MRI. Itself the arrangement is very much sophisticated. Very magnetic arrangement. Even nothing that things can carry. You people or patient can carry nothing that which are having the attraction of the magnets. Very sophisticated room. So biotech machine, the hospitals required the machine. But not only the machine, but the operating conditions, the complete operating conditions. Philips knows that point. That's called installation. That's called civil work. Civil work for the sophisticated construction. all these things. So if I say that this project name, project is equal to MRI operative. So MRI operative includes three things. Number one, machine, number one, civil work. Number two, installation. Number three, machine startup. So these three things will integrate to become this project operative. If this is the case, what do you say that? Are these three things are distinct or one performance obligation? Standard says that if at the seller side, the complete projects, the different performance obligations are integrate. If they are interdependent, so it's not possible to consider distinct, but consider one performance obligation. One performance obligation, like this is the case. Like this is the case. The case Meta Software Service PLC. Meta Software Service PLC supplies computer aided supplying package to customers. It has, first of all, pause the video and you have to read it 10 seconds. Don't be over smart. Okay. Meta Software Services PLC supplies computer aided supply package to customer. It has recently signed a contract with Avol Design Limited to provide a license to use software package. Installation services, license, Meta Software Service. Have a contract with the customer, license to use software package, installation service. And this installation did not involve customizing software package. It's not customizing, and technical support for 4 years. Three things: software, installations, technical support. Meta Connect is not only the company that could install the software and provide technical support. So assess and identify performance obligation. Assess means put a judgment and then identify, make a clear decision. Performance obligation distinct or not. There are three performance obligation, but the question is that, is this distinct or not? Number one, with respect to number one, is this single or series of distinct services? I must say this is a single goods or services, a single deliverable, one time, one contract. Number two, is this distinct? Distinct, number one, capable of being distinct. Customer. A customer could gain benefit from each other. Yes, here mentioned. Meta Connect is not only the company that could install software and provide technical support. For example, as a customer, I am able to purchase the license from the Meta software and then install the software from someone else and technical support from somewhere else. So customer able to get benefit from own or anywhere else. But the issue is that, so on the customer basis, that means distinct. But you know very well that this is the not only point, and and not only the customer point, and with the context of Meta Connect. This is not clear in this scenario. Promise goods and services, the provision of license, installation, technical support, identifiable each other, separately identify each other. Okay. We need to assess the condition. We need to assess the conditions. Either performance obligations or goods and services are integrated. If are these integrated? If not, it's okay. It's not highly interrelated. Okay. If this highly interrelated, that's not possible to distinguish. And it does not modify the another, that is input to output. Later on, we will discuss about to modify the point. These 2 points, integrating and highly interrelated. If these conditions not meet, that is not clear here. That's not interdependent. Means we can install the services as a customer. We can install the services, and it's not interrelated about the installation and the technical support. It's not interrelated. It's not interdependent. It's not anything about compatibility with the system. Something need to modify with my part. No things like this. So supporting point with respect to the Meta Connect also consider that no, it's also distinct. Therefore, each promise is separately identified, distinct. And if this happens, in conclusion, the 3 distinct performance obligation is correct. That is installation of software, provision of license, provision of technical support. All these things that need to split. That is the point. So that is the point about the distinct matter. Moreover, you can work out with this one more example. This one more example, that is Colossal Construction Company. It's very simple. Now, make a reading. Quick reading. Colossal Construction Company recently signed a contract to build a warehouse for Super Safe Limited. Warehouse, huh? We are the seller, construction company, the seller. We will have a contract of the revenue to develop a warehouse. Colossal Construction responsible for designing building, preparing site, purchasing raw material, construction, plumbing, wiring, finishing, everything. From the architecting till the finishing, all belongs to me. This is what about the construction business. This is only the basic case, huh? It's not the comprehensive matter. And only one thing I'm considering here, because the information is not complete with respect to seller, not the customer. Customer able to arrange the things. This is not the case. Only the case about the contracts. In the context of contract, the construction company Colossal is contracted of providing significant series of integrating the inputs in order to produce single output. That means, like we were talking about the biotech MRI machine. Here, all the performance obligations are very integrated. Integrated means the performance obligation is about 1, 2, 3, 4 means design means architecting, preparing site, raw material purchasing, construction, plumbing, warehouse, finishing is equal to warehouse. These are all performance obligations are integrated to develop one output, that is warehouse. If this is the case, single output, yes, Here, integration is not no. If no, that's qualify for distinct. If yes, it's integrated. The provision of goods and services is not separately identifiable. So the promise are not distinct. Therefore, only one single performance obligation being the development of the property. So candidate, that is what about the case. And I strongly suggest here is the time of the question, and you can easily attempt the question. If you have any problem, you can ask me quickly. The question called ZTEC. Question 7. Question 7 ZTEC. That includes the revenue recognition criteria with the case and how above contract should be recognized. Yes. You must have to attempt that question. And I strongly suggest you have to submit that question to me. And you can also refer your solution accordingly, because I have also mentioned the suggested solution here. But have to share the solution with me on the WhatsApp classroom group, not individually, classroom group. Okay, that is the point. I'm going to mention here as well. So thank you very much about this part. That is step 2. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.